Hello gang, and welcome to Displaying-Model-Behaviour, where today I'm going to do something a little bit different. Recently I made a video all about the X-Men figures that Toy Biz have made that haven't yet been turned into Marvel Legends. Well, it turns out that friend of the show, Wings Custom, has been very busy pretty much making all of them as custom figures, and they look awesome. And I wanted to share them with you, and we can see how his customs compare to the OGs and what Hasbro could do if they eventually got around to it. So kicking things off is one of my favorites that I've most wanted. It's Emplate here. And the creator has made some nice little write-ups as well, so I'm going to read off what he said about these. So Emplate is a character I have covered before. I've never made his original purple look from his initial Generation X days though, so I thought I'd cover him too while on a Generation X stint. And yeah, as we go along, you're going to see he has definitely been on a Generation X stint. There are a lot of figures that he's made, and Emplate, pretty badass way to kick things off. Then, keeping on with that same kind of group, we've got Nanny and Orphan Maker, or Protector, as they're known in the Toy Biz figure. Another character I'd done before, but not in his 90s era, is Protector, or Orphan Maker. I had a lot of fun engineering the chest plate so that I could emulate the old 90s figure details. So again, it's not just repainting figures, but pretty much going above and beyond with all the different sculpting and extra work going on there. Then, a character that I wasn't even really familiar with, we've got, and he name checks me as well, Displaying-Model-Behaviour. May have caught a recent video David did showcasing 90s Toy Biz X-Men. That was me. That hadn't been made in Marvel Legends yet. I've managed to cover most of them over the years, but Commando here eluded me until this month. And Commando with he looks kind of like, what's the DC character? Will Smith played him. Is it Deadshot? Yeah, I think that was the one. Bit like a cybernetic Deadshot, but with the crazy kind of cybernetic legs. There's a lot of toyetic potential there. Yeah, hopefully we'll see a regular one day. In the meantime, though, Ben kind of nailed it with the customs. And then also, we haven't got these as Toy Biz figures, but I wanted to showcase them anyway, because more acolytes, never going to be a bad thing. So Kamal seemed to be the acolyte's answer to Mondo. His membership was around the ill-fated Joseph arc, so I'm not entirely surprised we've not seen him again since. And then also, we have this guy here. I vividly remember the Fall of Avalon and Javits here getting absorbed on panel by Apocalypse's son. After his role at the opening of Fatal Attractions, I have to say, I was kind of glad to see him go out like that. So actually, I got to read Fatal Attractions, because I've only read the main issue where Wolverine gets his adamantium sucked out, and then the following Wolverine issue where he pops his bone claws. So the rest of it, it's a bit of a mystery to me, so I want to see what the deal is with this guy here. Folks, it's time to take a quick pause for the cause and tell you about this episode's sponsor. You know who it is, it's Legends Verse. No big surprises there. Why? Because I'm always wanting to have them on as a sponsor, because they're like the best sponsor I've had, because they do exactly what we need as action figure collectors. They give you a chance to catalog, choreograph, no, catalog, curate, and compile. That's not the one. There's 3 C's and I always forget them. But you know what they do. They let you keep track of all of your action figures that you own, and the ones you want to own, and the ones that you just want to go back into time and see what was out there that you could still buy. Because if it's Black Series, Legends, everything else, Select, McFarlane, Mezco, Mafex, SH Figure Arts, and all other ones in between, you can mark down what you've got. It'll tell you what your collection's worth, how much you've spent, which you might not want to know, but also what groups and teams you can build with the figures you have and the ones that you might be buying. And they are so up to date. Boom, as soon as something's out there, up for pre-order, bam, you're going to find it there. And if you don't, well, chances are Legends Verse are just about to add it, because they seem to work even more hours than I do. And that's a lot of hours. So if you haven't already, go check them out. You'll be glad you did. Keep displaying model behavior. We got some more Generation X now. Wings Custom says, unlike Eve, or EV, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, Monet has benefited from some great characterization over the years since her Generation X alum days. Her comment to Jean at the start of Hoxpox will always be a highlight for me too. I've not read much Hoxpox, but I'm interested what he means by that. And skin was always going to look kind of weird. in action figure form, and this one is no exception. So I couldn't make Sean and Paige without rounding out the trio with Angelo here. Skin is long overdue a figure now, and I'm hoping we get a Gen X version of him soon. At Hasbro Pulse, in case you guys missed it, you need to get onto Skin and fill out that Generation X team. A Toy Biz figure that was a complete mystery to me was Comcast. So here, Wings Custom says, after doing Warstar recently, I had the urge to do another 90s Toy Biz dive. Here's Comcast in his original X-Force comic design. Still don't really know much about the character, but certainly for a custom, that looks pretty damn well realized when you put it next to the comic book art. A couple more acolytes now. So we've got Delgado. Was a regular acolyte mainstay even between the second and third iterations. Wings' custom knowledge about X-Men history, very impressive. His crossover to cartoon and even the original Children of the Atom Capcom game meant he was an easy must-do for the blue editions I'm making my way through. They do look great next to each other. Then also, Anne-Marie Cortez wasn't fortunate enough to get a resurrection on Krakoa. Given her brother's redemption arc, it would have been cool to have seen her back and confronting Fabian over his duplicity back on Avalon. So yeah, Fabian Cortez, that's the first acolyte we've got. Hopefully, the first of many, but ultimately, time will tell. Now this one is really fun. We got Warstar. There's a shrinking pool of Build-A-Figure options nowadays for X-Men, but Warstar here could be a home run for Hasbro Pulse if done right. So, hey, maybe a direct-to-order Warstar for the super hardcore X-Men fans? I know there'll definitely be a market for it. How many? Who can say? But there is a market. Keeping it cosmic now, had another spell away from the workbench due to the kids getting tummy bugs. Back on this week with a slew of Imperial Guard, starting off with Oracle here. Well, I'm glad that he name-checked her as Oracle, because honestly, my Imperial Guard knowledge is... well, it ain't great. Another acolyte now. Let's take a look at who this is. The latest blue palette swaps for the acolytes to match the new Cortez figure is Frenzy here. I'm hoping Joanna gets a figure release soon, as she's progressed to be a decent addition to the X-Men since the Age of X storyline. She looks kind of cool, and who knows what Hasbro might be cooking up their sleeves. Really shouldn't be cooking anything up your sleeves, but nonetheless, mixed metaphors aside, I would like to see more acolytes. Another one that I covered on the Toy Biz video and had no idea who it was. We've got Kylin here. So, having an Excalibur reread of late, dude, where do you find the time to reread comics when you're making all these figures? So here's the first of a classic trio. Kylin was one of the only 90s Toy Biz figures we could get here in the UK. It was slim pickings back in the day. So this design always hits me in the nostalgia. And yep, it looks like he's done a damn fine job of recreating it. Eric the Red, Space Bondage Viking. We had a good chuckle over that one in the Toy Biz video. I love that we've had Lilandra and Professor X recently, and I would love some more Shi'ar characters from Hasbro. I vote we get Eric the Red here, along with Deathbird, Deken, Raza, Hepzibah, and Oracle in a 6-pack. I tell you what, a San Diego Comic-Con 6-pack with all those characters, it's not a bad idea. Now this for me actually is really cool. When I first got into comics, I got some Marvel Masterpiece trading cards and it had this Acolyte Colossus on there. And the write-up said how after his sister passed away, he was disillusioned with the X-Men and joined Magneto's Acolytes. And I was like, wow, like comics go deep, because I thought this guy was just a good guy, and it kind of opened my young mind to just how, intense comics can be. So saying here, gritting my teeth to replicate the upcoming Cortez color palette like I did with Syaka for Colossus here. I'll admit, I actually quite like the blue on him, especially once the bulky red and gold elements were on. He does look pretty striking. More Starjammers now, and this one, I really like what he's done here. So, as with Raza, I'm dying to see Mamselle Hepzibah get a release. Ideally with her at Jim Lee era 90s getup. Wonder if at Hasbro Pulse will do this one, her OG look or her modern bolero design. You could tell that was a little bit difficult for me to sight read there. There's lots of ats and symbols and names I didn't recognize. But hey, we muddled our way through. And at least while I was doing that, we had some good looking pictures to go with it. And of course, rounding out the Starjammers, we've got Raza over here. So it's been a while. It's been a while since we got Corsair and Chode from Hasbro Pulse. So I thought I would have another pop at Raza Longknife here. He'd definitely be a welcome release, especially with the nostalgia it would grant around the old Toy Biz 5-inch figure from the 90s. Dude, the more I'm going through all of these customs, the more I'm thinking, I'm gonna have to do more videos like this because I'm marking out for these. One of the cooler looking acolytes, in my opinion, we've got Syaka. So honestly, it pained me to do Syaka here on a blue palette instead of purple. But with Cortez coming up in the same colors, I knew collectors would want him to fit in. Wondering on which acolytes to revisit and do next. Well, I guess while agonizing over that, he decided finally to just do all of them. If you can't make the hard decisions, just do everything. This might be the most spectacular one right here. This is just absolutely crazy, so gruesome. I love it. Okay, this one may get a bit long, but I'm taking a sec to toot my own horn here. Oh, brother. Toot, toot. I started customizing back in January 2007 after being blown away by some of the contemporaries of the time. A little site called Figure Realm gave me somewhere to swat up on the craft and share work. So it's only from using that community that I've been able to track the number of customs I've done. Cameron Hodge here was always a design I was desperate to crack on one day, and after bailing on my attempt in 2018, I'm chuffed to present my 2000th custom. This could be a long video with this mega build. Here's to the next 1,000 customs and beyond. God bless you, man. That looks absolutely amazing. One of my favorites that we covered in the Toy Biz video, this dude right here, Barbarus. Actually, as I was reading it, I realized, oh no, wait, it's not Forearm, it's Barbarus. But you know what? We're here. So we're going to talk about him as well, because these dudes always did trip me up when I was referencing them before, because they do look awful similar. It looks like it was that meme of, hey, can I copy your homework? Yeah, of course you can. Just change it a bit so they can't tell. Last up for my Savage Land mutates is Barbarus here. Always here for a bit of body horror via spare limbs. Well, he looks pretty horrific. I mean, in a good way. And keeping it with the Savage Land mutates, we've got Amphibious. Please, master, do not leave us again. Dude, if you spoke to me like that, I'd leave you in 5 minutes. After doing a Savage Land suited Vertigo a couple of months back, I had the urge to do some of her mutate teammates, starting with Amphibious over here. And brother, I dare say you nailed it. One here now that Hasbro absolutely refused to give us. One day, maybe, it's Feral in the purple-pink X-Force costume. So, as he says here, come on, Hasbro Pulse, you know you want to. Feral here is highly sought after for many X-Nuts, myself included. Look at that team right there. We're just one away. We're just one away from finishing it. And Hasbro know that. And that's why they're keeping us on the hook. Oh, someone who I actually forgot to cover in the Toy Biz video, which is ridiculous because he's one of my favorite characters, Exodos. So I really wanted to do Exodos over the summer, but had held off until San Diego Comic-Con was out of the way to avoid him being announced before I finished him. You know, that was always going to be the way. I always loved how ornate his original looks was, even if some do find it fussy. Honestly, compared to a lot of modern costumes, I don't find it too fussy at all. I think for this regal acolyte, it's just about right. The son of Cable, Genesis. He seems to have an invisible touch, I would say. After Strife moved on from the Dark Riders, Cable's son Genesis picked up the group's reins. Had to do this one after recently released Zabu Wave Cable. Yeah, once that Cable hit store shelves, you knew you had to follow it up with his very 90s looking son. I mean, those shoulder pads, It could have only come out of the 90s. Another one you can see here that involved a heck of a lot of original sculpting. We got Spine over here. The engineering on Spine made me remember why I skipped over making him the last time around. Chuffed with the result, though I feel I've given him a redemption of sorts with this piece after his Genesis mini figure back in the 90s. Yeah, that was the thing. The minifigure was like teeny tiny. And even at the time doing the video, Dom and I were like, I'm sure the character isn't this small. Nah, this is more like it. Another big 90s want of mine is the holographic sister of Bishop. We got Shard over here. Was hoping we'd see a little more of Shard than the Nightmare Inferno sequence in X-Men 97. God, can't wait for Series 2. I know it's a long way away, but it'll get here eventually. Here's her classic X-Factor look from the 90s. I need to wiki Shard, see whatever happened to her, because, yeah, in the mid-90s, she was one of my favorites. Here's a real fun one, and again, some great creativity with the customizing skills. I tell you what, losing 4 hours to build this blasted crystal armor helmet out of blister plastic was not my idea of a fun time. Still, happy with how this Trevor Fitzroy panned out. Whoa. So, yeah, now that he mentions it, I can see that was made out of blister packaging with what looks like the holographic Iron Man making up the torso and legs right there, or at least parts of them. That's some pretty neat kit bashing right there. Model behavior approved. Now one that you could get really creative with, and Hasbro can as well, if they want to. We got Mondo from Generation X. So finally, Gen X pull for now is, final Gen X pull for now is Mondo here. I got heavily influenced by morning_woof recipe. Want to make sure I got that name right. From October 2022. Go check his out if you've not already done so. I can see some thing legs going on there. An arm maybe from Groot with an abomination hand. I love trying to identify all the different pieces. But if I tried to do that for every single figure, we'd be here all day. We've got another skin over here. So this time, next off the bench is Angelo Espinosa, aka Skin. Always appreciated how much they leaned into the fact he couldn't be overpowered like some mutants and actually told stories around him working within his limited power set. Yeah, because I mean, when all you've got is stretchy skin and you're going up against world-ending god monsters, you're going to have to get pretty creative. And we've also got Sync from Generation X here too. Continuing with the Gen X run, here's Everett Thomas, aka Sync. I've loved his turn in the spotlight during the Krakoan Age. Everyone who noticed me being completely oblivious as to who Sync was in my Toy Biz video said, if you want to see him at his best, go check out the Krakoan comics. Maybe I will one of these days. Going back to Penance now, but in her full-on kind of Penance gear. This is the one that I always knew from the 90s. I really dearly hope that last year's Monet and Chamber figures we get more Generation X releases. Hasbro, unlike the stifled New Mutants releases, I was making word salad out of a perfectly good sentence there. Nonetheless, here's Penance, or Hollow, depending on which era of the comics you're looking at. Again, Monet, Hollow, Penance. I get real confused with siblings and different characters and different names. What I can say, though, with no confusion, so this looks pretty badass. All right, no mistaking him this time. This is Forearm, and not the other four-armed character. One of the OG Toy Biz X-Force figures we've yet to see Hasbro Pulse tackle so far is Forearm here. I'm hoping, given we've had Zero and a Strife update, that we see more Mutant Liberation Front members released soon. I mean, that Strife 5-pack, that covered quite a few, but there's a few gems still out there. So Hasbro doing a Forearm right here, it'd be a lot of fun. You see the whole team there. There's a few good ones they could still make. Another X-Force essential, we've got Gideon, the man who graced the cover of Deadpool's first appearance. That alone should warrant him an official Hasbro figure. But until we got that, we're getting a nice little custom right here, slowly easing through my Toy Biz X-Force figure revisits. Here's Gideon in all his red-vested, high-ponied glory. And yeah, he is pretty glorious. One of my favorites now, the big beastly Grizzly, with a little bit of beast in him there as well, I can see with that recipe. So if Hasbro Pulse aren't ready to give us a retro X-Force wave, then I'd love to see a Grizzly Build-A-Figure wave, especially in keeping with their love for all things furry. They do actually make quite a few furry Marvel Legends characters now you mention it. But looking at this guy, just imagine so much color, just big, chunky and chonky on your shelf. That would be so much fun to have. Man, we're hitting all my favorites now. GW Bridge. Here in the UK, we didn't get a great selection of the Toy Biz 5-inch figures back in the 90s. GW was one of the few that seemed to be readily available, probably at Woolworths, I would imagine. So this guy was one of the first X-Men figures I got as a kid. Tell you what, that's not a bad introduction to collecting X-Men figures. The most 90s character to ever get extreme in the comic books, it's Adam X. Was there any X-Men character more 90s shtick than Adam X, aka Adam the Extreme? Unlikely, but he rounds out my third ode to 5-inch Toy Biz nostalgia this week. Again, this week! Dude, I don't know how you manipulate time to make these, but God bless you for it. Now, in my Toy Biz video, I kind of compromised a little bit, because it was meant to be characters that haven't been made by Marvel Legends. We do have a modern Marrow, but we don't have the Toy Biz version of the very evil, kind of tough to look at Morlock Marrow. But we got one here, so having seen Monet and Chamber get announced in the recent Hasbro Pulse rounds, I knew I had to revisit the Generation X corner of Mutantum. First up is Marrow in her Gene Nation attire. There you go, I was saying Morlocks, more specifically, Gene Nation. Similar to Marrow, I was mainly doing characters that we haven't had at all, but I'll do another version as well. I was talking about Feral Wolverine. Well, we got a custom right here, because again, Hasbro haven't moved on that one yet. But now that we've got that stockier version of Wolverine for the Marvel vs. Capcom line, I could see that being a base for a Feral Wolverine. In the meantime, though, we got this one right here. A couple more crowd pleasers for me. We've got Albert and LCD, the cyborg Wolverine, and the little girl that's a walking bomb. And also a great pun name as well. LCD? LCD? Yeah, okay. We get to OML. We get two OML and Hot Claws Logan before Albert. Oh, okay. I understand what he's saying now. We get those figures before we get Albert. Come on, Hasbro. LCD will blow a fuse. Well, she won't when we finally get an action figure of her. In the meantime, though, this custom, that absolutely fills the gap. One of my favorite long-forgotten X-Men, it is the Magneto clone, who we thought was the real deal for a little while, Joseph. So Magneto's death and rebirths as clones and doubles have plagued the character over the decades. Joseph was the 90s answer of bringing the character back after the fall of Avalon and getting him back into the X-Men ranks. Didn't last long, though. A real fun one now. From the Phalanx, we got Harvest. Love all the faces in the chest. That's so cool. The culmination of Generation X during the Phalanx Covenant gave way to the Joe Madureira interpretation of Harvest. Such a creepy and foreboding design. Yeah, the faces in the chest, very Resident Evil. Makes me think of William Birkin. This whole design, so awesome. It's the Goat Man from the Mojoverse now. We got Quag. It was a learning experience making my Toy Biz video. Found out about a lot of characters I previously didn't know anything about. So here's another deep dive into the 5-inch Toy Biz line with Quag, freedom fighter of the Mojoverse. I've not many more of the old Toy Biz line to pay homage to without the likes of repaints, so feel free to throw ideas my way. Well, since we're going back in time, the way I'm looking at this list, it seems he got a lot more ideas thrown his way. Ahab, a real fun one as well here, with a legit chain to go with him. That's really cool. Ahab was always such a brilliantly designed character, albeit a sign of the era he was created. Would love to see Hasbro tackle this guy in a future wave. So would I, brother. So would I. Here's a real fun one, and the figure that kicked off the list when I made it here. So, more 90s Rob Liefeld and Toy Biz inspired goodness. Heavily influenced by the stellar work of Comic Customs. I love creators shouting out other creators, that's nice. Created last month, we have Cruel. And it was me using one of these photos in my Toy Biz video that brought the work of Wings Customs to my attention, because we've known each other in the community for years now, but he was like, hey man, thanks for using one of my pictures. And I was like, dude, that was yours? And it's like, oh yeah, do you want some more? Because I got a couple. Also, real fun design here. We've got, I think, the Deadpool villain. Is he mostly Deadpool or X-Men in general? Again, my knowledge is spotty, if not straight up embarrassing. Don't think I'm not still enjoying these 90s Toy Biz revisits. Here's Slayback with the awesome, I was going to say Lady Deathstrike. Yeah, Lady Deathstrike style extending arms. Yeah, he's pretty awesome. In the words of Jim Ross, by God, that's gotta be Kane. Another Toy Biz one that I forgot to do on my list. Diggin, the Machine Man, extending arms there. Another Toy Biz era throwback with Garrison Kane. I don't know if we'll ever see this as a Marvel legend. I feel like he's not really been featured much in the last couple of decades, unless I've just missed his comics, in which case, let me know. A figure that could be so much fun for Hasbro to do. We got Tusk from the Dark Riders. Having a blast revisiting some of the Toy Biz era characters. Here's the Inhuman Dark Rider, Tusk. Dude, I had no idea he was an Inhuman. I just assumed that he was a mutant. So if Hasbro did Tusk with the little Tusk monsters to go on his back, oh, that'd be so much fun. And folks, that does it for my deep dive on Wing Customs work, but that doesn't do it for Wing Customs work, because, oh my goodness, I barely even scratched the surface. That was literally just the Toy Biz figures that haven't yet been made as X-Men characters that I was able to cover just in this video, because you go to his Instagram and it's just like a never-ending rabbit hole of awesomeness. It just keeps going and going. I gotta draw the line somewhere. So, man, thank you so much for just making these awesome figures and giving me something to just gush over for the last hour or so. This has been a whole bunch of fun, and I highly recommend you go check out his work, because, man, this is the love of action figures right here, and I'm so glad to be able to share some of these with you. So, gang, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, what other customizers would you like me to take a look at? Because this, I get a real kick out of. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior.